Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Intimacy Lab. I want to begin today by asking you a question that most men won't admit they think about, but they do. When a relationship ends, when she pulls away, when she lets go, do you wonder how long before she realizes what she lost? Not just when she misses the comfort or routine, but when the absence of your presence truly aches, when your absence starts to speak louder than your words ever could. It's such a vulnerable place, isn't it? One moment you're building something together, and the next you're left questioning not only her feelings, but your own worth, your own impact. And yet, in the silence after the breakup, something else begins to happen. Time becomes your unexpected ally. Because the question is not really if she will regret losing you, it's when and why. Today, I want to guide you gently through this emotional landscape, not to keep you stuck waiting for regret to bloom in her heart, but to help you understand the psychology behind it. This isn't about revenge or control. It's about reclaiming your dignity, your confidence, and learning how absence can sometimes have a greater power than presence. So settle in. Let's talk honestly about what unfolds inside her mind and heart long after goodbye is said. Thank you for staying with me. So often after a breakup, a man sits quietly with a haunting question. Did she ever really appreciate me? You scroll through your memories like an old album, wondering which moments mattered, which smiles were real, and when, if ever, she'll sit alone in the dim light and finally think, I lost a good man. It's not vanity, it's human nature. We want to know that our presence mattered, that our love left fingerprints on their soul that can't easily be wiped clean. But here's something most men don't realize. Regret isn't immediate. It's rarely about the first few days or even the first few weeks. In those early moments after a breakup, she may feel relief. She might savor the space, the freedom, the release from whatever dynamic felt heavy or strained. It's a phase, not a final verdict. Many men panic in this space. They try to fix it too soon. Call, text, seek closure. But in doing so, they interrupt something that's far more powerful than any words they could say: silence. Silence after separation is where memory starts to ferment. At first, she notices absence in a vague way. The absence of your texts, your scent lingering on her clothes, the empty space where your shoes used to sit by the door. But regret needs more time to ripen. Her mind starts to revisit the mundane routines she used to take for granted, the way you knew how to calm her when she was spiraling, the fact that you understood her moods better than her friends did, the way you made coffee exactly the way she liked without asking. These are the first sparks of reflection, but they are quiet and fragile. You see, the timing of regret is intimately tied to her emotional maturity, to the story she tells herself about why things ended, and to how she copes with loneliness. If she left feeling empowered, she might delay her reckoning with regret far longer. But if she left in anger or confusion, the cracks appear sooner, because anger fades faster than loneliness. And loneliness always comes. What makes her start to regret losing you isn't just the memory of who you were together. It's the comparison she begins to make when she's out there meeting other men. Men who don't listen quite the same way, who don't laugh at her quirks, who don't feel as safe or as familiar. It's that moment on a Saturday night when the new connection feels hollow, when she realizes she's repeating old patterns but missing old comfort. This is why I always say that how you behave after a breakup can influence how fast her regret takes root. If you're chasing her, constantly reminding her you're waiting, you take away the mystery of absence. But if you step back, truly step back, not as a tactic, but as an act of self-respect, something remarkable happens. She begins to experience your absence as a presence in itself. You become a mirror she has to face, whether she wants to or not. It's also important to remember that regret isn't always loud or dramatic. She may not call you at 2 a.m., crying, confessing everything. Often it's quiet, internal. She might not admit it to anyone, maybe not even to herself. But it begins as a feeling she can't shake, that she gave up something stable, deep, familiar, and real. This is why your patience matters. This is why your own healing matters. Because how long it takes her to regret losing you depends not only on her emotional process, but on your ability to stand firm in your value, your dignity, your calm. So as you sit with your own emotions, remember this: the first days and weeks are not when regret happens. Those days belong to reflection and memory. It's what happens after, when the newness wears off, when reality sets in, that her thoughts start to drift back to you. Now that we've opened this door and gently stepped into that emotional space, let's continue to explore what happens next, when time passes, when distance grows, and when she begins to see you differently than she did before. As the days quietly become weeks and the space between your worlds grows wider, something subtle begins to shift in her mind. At first, she might convince herself that she's fine, that this was the right decision. She distracts herself with friends, with work, with the intoxicating promise of a fresh start. There's even a defiance in the way she posts on social media, smiling, laughing, out late at places she never really enjoyed when you were together. All of this is part of her emotional defense. It's a mask, and sometimes she almost believes it. But what you need to understand is that there's a difference between distraction and fulfillment. Distraction is loud but temporary. Fulfillment is quiet and lasting. And once the noise of a new freedom starts to settle, it's in the quiet moments that the ache begins. Picture her sitting at a cafe alone on a Sunday afternoon, her friends busy with their own lives, the excitement of a new fling already fading, and suddenly she's thinking about you. Not just in a nostalgic way, but with a creeping awareness that your absence has left a hole she didn't expect. This is when regret starts to take form, not as a grand gesture, but as a quiet, gnawing realization that what she walked away from had value. You see, many women don't regret losing a man simply because he was there. They regret losing a man who embodied a kind of emotional safety, depth, and consistency that is rare. And this realization doesn't arrive like a thunderclap. It creeps in softly but persistently. This is also the point where she may begin to test the waters again. Perhaps she sends a casual message, just checking in, hope you're well. Or she reacts to one of your social media posts, just enough to remind you she exists, but not enough to reveal what she's really feeling. She's gauging. She wants to know, are you still accessible? Would you still be willing to soothe her regret? And here is where many men slip. They mistake this flicker of attention for a genuine return, and they rush back in, eager, relieved, ready to resume where things left off. But what you must recognize is this: her regret is still forming. It's not yet mature. If you rush to respond, you don't allow her to fully confront the cost of losing you. The timing of regret isn't about the calendar. It's about emotional readiness. The truth is, some women regret sooner, others later. It depends on whether their life after you genuinely feels richer or simply noisier. Regret sets in when she starts comparing not just the relationships, but the feelings she had with you versus the emptiness she feels now. And here's where your strength matters most. You must resist the temptation to rescue her from her own emotional journey. That space of absence you've created, that is precisely where her reckoning with regret begins. If you fill it too soon, she never has to face it. It's also worth remembering that not every woman is willing to admit to herself that she regrets leaving a man. Some women will suppress it, bury it beneath pride, or reinvent the story in their minds so they don't have to confront it. But whether she admits it or not, the emotional process is the same. She'll feel that absence, she'll revisit those memories, and she'll feel the sharp edges of comparison when her new experiences fall short of what she had with you. The most empowering thing you can do as a man is to stop watching the clock. Stop measuring her regret as a way to validate your worth. Your worth isn't dependent on her timeline. It's anchored in how you live, how you grow, how you thrive without needing her recognition. When a woman truly regrets losing a man, it isn't because he waited for her. It's because he became better without her. It's because he transformed that pain into wisdom, that loneliness into purpose. And that, more than anything, is what makes regret bloom fully. When she looks back and realizes that in letting you go, she didn't just lose what you were, she lost what you became. So, as we move forward, we need to talk about something else, the critical role your self-worth and emotional independence play in this whole journey. Because how long it takes her to regret losing you may actually depend far less on her and far more on what you do now. The moment you choose to stop waiting, that's when you regain your power. And here's the truth I want you to sit with. Regret for her is most likely to arrive precisely when you stop needing it. When you release yourself from obsessing over her thoughts, when you invest in your own healing, your own growth, your own peace, that's when your absence becomes undeniable. You see, for many men, the question, how long until she regrets losing me, is actually a disguised longing for reassurance. Reassurance that you mattered, that your love meant something, that walking away from you wasn't easy. But real reassurance, true peace, doesn't come from waiting for her regret. It comes from remembering that her regret is hers to carry, not yours to wait for. When you're rebuilding your life with sincerity and commitment, something subtle happens. You stop leaving emotional breadcrumbs for her to follow back to you. Your energy changes, and she feels that. Women are intuitive about these things. They can sense when a man is moving forward for real, when he no longer orbits around the hope that she'll return. And this shift, it unsettles her in ways that nothing else can. That's often when her regret deepens. Because now, not only has she lost you, she's losing access to you. She can no longer assume that you'll be available when she's lonely or curious or nostalgic. That's when she realizes that her decisions have closed a door that may not reopen. At the same time, you might notice something beautiful happening within yourself. You're beginning to see that the relationship ending was not the end of your value or your desirability. In fact, as you cultivate independence, as you reconnect with your purpose and passions, you're becoming someone more attractive, not just to her, but to yourself. This period is where many men discover a deeper self-respect. They start working on their bodies, their careers, their friendships. They create new routines that don't revolve around her presence or absence. They learn how to feel whole again, not as a tactic to make her regret, but because they genuinely deserve to feel whole. And ironically, this is what often accelerates her regret. When she hears from mutual friends that you're glowing, when she notices that your social media no longer hints at heartbreak, but radiates calm confidence, when she sees that you're not performing for her approval, that's when regret evolves from curiosity to true longing. But here's the delicate balance. You must let her regret unfold naturally in her own time without expectation. Not every woman will reach that point at the same pace or with the same clarity. Some will process quickly, others will take months, sometimes years, before they're willing to acknowledge, even privately, that they let go of something real and rare. What matters is that you're no longer holding your breath for that moment. Your life is expanding without needing it. Your peace is deepening without waiting for validation. This is what allows you to step into true emotional independence, not pretending you don't care, but realizing that you no longer need her to regret losing you in order to feel valuable. And you know what? When you reach this point, you may discover that her regret no longer carries the weight it once did. That the very thing you once longed for no longer defines your healing. That's the paradox. The moment when she's most likely to regret losing you is also often the moment when you no longer care if she does. So what comes next? It's time to look inward and understand why her regret is not your destination. but just a chapter in your own emotional evolution. The deeper question isn't how long will it take her to regret losing me, it's how long will it take me to stop measuring my worth by her regret. And here you are now, standing on the threshold of something deeper. You've walked through heartbreak, through silence, through reflection, and you've realized that her regret, while significant, isn't the measure of your growth. You're starting to understand that the real journey is not about waiting for her to look back. It's about your ability to walk forward. You see, the question, how long until she regrets losing me, isn't really a question about her at all. It's about your relationship to time, to self, worth, to absence, and to presence. It's about how you hold space for your own healing and whether you allow her story to dominate your own. And as you move through this chapter, a new possibility opens up. You begin to reclaim the narrative. You stop positioning yourself as the one left behind and instead embrace that you too made choices. You too have agency. You too get to decide what this ending means, not just for her, but for you. Maybe it takes her weeks to regret losing you, maybe months, maybe years. Or maybe she never fully allows herself to feel that regret aloud. But what matters more is what you've done with that time. Have you used this period to grow, to understand your own patterns, to examine what role you played in that relationship? Have you deepened your ability to love not just someone else, but yourself? Because there's a truth that many men discover when they step fully into this process. Even if she calls one day, even if she sends that text, even if she stands at your door with tears in her eyes, confessing that she made a mistake, you may no longer want what she's offering, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. By the time her regret surfaces, you may have evolved beyond the man she left. You may have become a man who no longer fits into the old story. A man who knows that love is not a transaction of guilt and longing, but a mutual meeting of equals who choose each other freely and fully. This is why patience is your greatest ally, not just patience for her process, but patience with yourself. Patience as you navigate your own grief, your own healing, your own rediscovery. Patience as you allow the days to shape you into someone who doesn't wait for validation, but lives from within. And if her regret does come when it comes, you will be ready, not desperate, not hungry for proof, but calm, centered, and capable of deciding whether her regret truly matters anymore. This is the quiet power of letting go, not to punish, not to manipulate, but to free yourself from being defined by the absence of another. And in that freedom, you'll discover something far more valuable than her regret. You'll discover your peace. So as we close this conversation today, I want you to remember, how long it takes her to regret losing you is irrelevant compared to how long it takes you to find yourself again. Because when you finally do, her regret will no longer be something you crave. It will simply be something you understand. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this touched something deep inside you, if you feel seen in this conversation, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it, let's connect, let's learn from each other. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Intimacy Lab for more conversations that honor your journey, your heart, and your healing. You are not defined by who leaves, you are defined by how you rise.